They not like us. 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 They not like.
Oh, no, you didn't miss it. I was just saying what's up. Hold on, crap. I forgot about the baby monitor. Okay. What's up, guys? You guys like the short? I like that. We just did that on what our last live. We talked about it, so that's gonna be good. Good to see you. We're gonna have a discussion at the end of this video, so I've got a lot to go over with you. This is going to be a more live chat conversation about this. I have a video for you guys that is more of a breakdown. So I've never talked to you guys about Chad. I always felt that I had not enough of an opinion. And I thought to myself, I don't know enough about him. I haven't listened to the trial. I haven't read a book. I haven't really done any research. And that changed because I was going to. I have a video for you guys I'm going to be posting about. The members know it did get delayed, but we're going to have it soon. And it really what it is just a deep dive. And basically my question, hold on. Basically my question is, first of all, this is what we're going to say. We're going to come back stronger next year, okay? Chiefs are going to come back stronger. They're going to be very good, very strong, okay? But with that being said, I have a video for you guys that's a deep dive. What I want to start doing is being able to bring you guys into a place where we did the What Creates a Villain video, where we edit it, where we spend our time on it, where I can really break things down for you guys. So we'll get to that. But this is going to be my first time ever talking to you guys about Chad Daybell. I was doing research for the video for you guys. The more research I did, the more questions I have. And I'm a very question heavy person. So that's just what it is. I ask a lot of questions. And I think that I usually come up with more questions than answers. And then I go down and do what I can to answer the questions, if that makes any sense. Maybe I just confused myself. Anyway, good to see you guys. We're not going to really have any visuals tonight. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to click on your chats. We're going to go back and forth. I'm just going to give you the notes that I went through. And I'm going to tell you the first kind of things that hit me. So one of the things that I noticed about Chad is that you would think that this is a normal guy. You would not know that anything is threatening. He is not scary looking. He is not intimidating. In my video, I'm doing kind of a panel on his mental state. And there's some tendencies and things that because you have to understand, like, when you break down what a cult leader is, you have to understand that a lot of times cult leaders are really charming, and they're people who are enticing, and they invite people in, and they're very, they're really good at charm. I don't see that here. Trying to be respectful here. Just because of us, we try to keep the respect at a level. I'm not saying we need to respect him. What I'm saying is we're not going to stoop to that level. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know how he's charming, and I don't know how, yeah, literally, you're not lying at all. He's not charming in any way, shape, or form. What I do think, though, is that this is what people, hold on, slow it down here. I'm not saying we have any respect. That's a whole nother word. What we do have, though, is respect for ourselves. And if we slide to their level, we're not getting anywhere. So that's what I meant. That's what we mean by respect. We're not saying we respect the person. You're absolutely right. It's good to see you guys too. So that's the first thing I noticed is how do you lead a movement without being charming, without being enticing? Is you're really good at manipulation, and you need somebody's ear where you can get in on a different level. So that's kind of what we have to look at here. Is the reason he's so different is that he's not someone that's gonna be outgoing and come get people to join him in his suit and his stuff like that. What it really is he's freaking telling people things that they want to hear. Now, what you have to also find though is I think what makes Chad manipulative, okay, and this is what's really interesting. I wrote this down too. What makes him really manipulative is that he did know how to specifically tell people that they were special. And that is something that's interesting because what Chad must have had is he must have had a ability to see someone and notice that they're fragile, notice a way that he could get into their head, and notice what I think he identified. And this is what I think makes him not smart, but made him manipulative, is he was able to identify. And he identified in Lori and Alex the ability for him to say, you're special, you are chosen, and you are someone that has this thing, and you have to be able to feed their ego. Because why would someone, right? Why would, in a psychological way, why would someone want to listen to somebody if they come up to you and say, hey, I want you to do this bad thing? What usually will happen is they pull you in, and it's kind of like a slow. Well, have you ever heard that analogy? There's an analogy about a frog, and the frog doesn't know it's being boiled. So if you put a frog in a pot of boiling water and you just slowly turned up the temperature, the frog wouldn't know that it's being boiled until it was boiled alive, because all you're doing is barely adjusting the temperature. And I think that's what Chad was actually good at, is that he could pull you in with his charm in whatever way that is, and get people to sit there long enough for him to slowly turn up the heat, and they kept going with it, right? So that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about with when it comes to manipulation. It's very dangerous. You're absolutely right. But he had to have had that, because we can say, what, when we reacted to the video the other day, we were talking, or they were talking about how Lori ruined Chad and Chad ruined Lori. So from each perspective, there's this fence of one of them did this, right? They're the bad guy, they're the bad guy. I think that's probably a false statement. I think the more realistic statement is that they were gasoline and match, and they came together. So I think that's what it was. But I do have to say, in my opinion, from my research now, I'm actually more interested and actually more understanding of the fact that I do think that Chad actually was a lot more of the leader. And I think that's interesting because he was the one that proclaimed himself. Now let's just take a second here. He proclaimed himself to be the other son of God. Okay? And the other son of God as in equal to Jesus on the other side, on the other part of the throne. All right? Okay, I don't even know what to say about that one. That one is so, we're going to get into the religion. So let me just start with this, okay? Then I wrote down the disconnect between his light and dark beliefs and the actions that follow that. So this is where the religion starts to play in. So what's interesting is he was able to pitch this idea that he had this ability, like we just mentioned, to tell that if someone's a good person or a bad person. That's really what it is. You can call it whatever you want. Really what he was saying is you're either a good person or not. That was what he proclaimed himself to do. And I didn't know he had a freaking little pendulum and a palm going on. He was doing this. And where it landed is what made someone good or bad. What a reading system, huh? How it's just what baffles me the most, the more I research psychology, is you as the receiver of that information. Someone can pitch you something, but for you to receive that and say, all right, well, that's my reading. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'll never be able to understand that. But that's crazy. That's next level stuff, right? And then I wrote down, mention how every day that masks are common in manipulative figures. So this is the thing that I wrote down about what's crazy about psychology is masks. And what I have to say, this was what struck me in the video we just watched. The mask that Chad wore when he was with his kids, the mask he wore when he was with his wife. And I'm not going to bring her up because that's disrespectful. Okay. And I don't want her to ever, I never want to disrespect her. Okay. I'm very careful with this stuff. What I'll say though is that he put a mask on for everybody, just like Lori did. And the thing is, you have to realize is that those masks of him being able to say to his kids, he's in shock now because he finds his wife gone, even though he was the one that did it, right? Then his mask for how he played himself out to be a good guy and a revelator and a prophet and a, whatever the case is, movement guy, really leading people to go into the next age, which is what, the end of the world. That was what he was trying to proclaim. And so I'm giving you guys the information so I can give you my opinion at the end, just so you know. So another thing that I wrote down was manipulating belief to justify harm. That goes back to what we were talking about before. It's interesting that somebody could manipulate someone else in a belief system, because what you have to do is you have to get that person to believe it to actually do the action. That's interesting because that takes some kind of skill. Even if you're working on people, you want to call them weaker, whatever the case is, he'd have the ability to know who he could tell what and how he can manipulate them very specifically. Hi, Colby. You and your family are so loved. Thank you, Heather. The daughter also called a kid dark in her class too. Yes. So that's the thing that's interesting too, is that he was able to pass these down to others. That's a skill. And it's a manipulative skill. He was able to pass along information to others in a spiritual way. What's interesting about these cult leaders is that what they say, they become the tip of the pyramid. That's how I like to look at it. So if you look at this, he says, I am the entry point to all of you. You all are under me, and everything comes to this point, and I am the one because I have the God-given ability. I am this special person. I'm the one that talks to God. I'm the one that reads dark and light readings. I'm the person that does this. That's how you get to that point. And everybody falls under that. The question is, how do people fall under this? Right? And you have to have somebody who has some kind of skill of convincing. They have to be able to convince you of something. They have to be able to pull you in religiously. And I don't understand that part, but it is what it is. Another thing that I wrote down is how he influenced how Chad influenced Alex and Lori. And Alex is a topic that I've been saving to talk about, but we will talk about Alex at some point. How he was able to do his part is what goes back to he believes something or not. I don't think this guy, first of all, I'll go back to the religious side real quick. I don't think Chad's convicted of anything he believes. And we saw it in court. He's backing out of it. So the thing is what's sorry, my texts get crazy sometimes. I gotta stop checking my phone. All right. But what's interesting is that he was able to do something really interesting with how he specifically had, well, let's say he calls it his belief system, right? Let's say he believes it. And he says, this is what I believe. This is a branch off of the LDS church. I'm going to take these ideas from LDS religion, let's call it lore, LDS lore, and I'm going to expound upon and change and pull people from LDS belief system into this thing. And what's interesting is that he paralleled a lot of LDS talk into his, right? So he pulls and he gives Alex a patriarchal blessing and tells him he's a special person. He's going around blessing people. He's going around saying this stuff. And yes, thank you. Hold on. I got to pull that up there. You're exactly right. Yeah, I've only heard tiny bits of this guy's writing, and it's his picture of him in front of a grave reading a book with his feet crossed and the guy with 2 hot dogs. Let's not get into that right now. I love how you're trying to answer all the questions we've been asking. Great work. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here too. This is why we're doing this. It's just an open discussion, and I'm just trying to give you guys my notes so we're all on the same page of what my opinion really is, because I wanted to form one based off of real information, not just off of little tiny snippets of things that I've seen. This is what I wrote down. You remember how I brought up, I don't know if you guys saw, I was on Hidden True Crimes channel, and I think Lauren had asked me a question. And the way I answered the question about Lori was she's like a poisonous dart frog. And basically what I mean by that is that she is beautiful and but looks non-threatening. It's not like a snake, it's not a scorpion. It's not something that is scary to look at, right? If anything, it would look like it's enticing because it's got beautiful colors. And if you go and you touch that frog and you hold it in your hand and you let it jump around on you and you laugh and Mario jumps off your arm, next thing you know, you're going down. It's very similar situation to how Chad Daybell is. Again, non-threatening. Absolutely not threatening at all. You wouldn't think twice if this guy was going to hurt you or not. He's more likely to eat a hot dog than he is to put his hands on you. But this is where we have to go back on the video that we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to tell you guys now what the video is called. The video is called Is Chad Daybell a Psychopath? And it's really about what the tendencies of a psychopath is. And in the research of the video, I had to go back and look for some things about his past, about his behavior, about the things he was saying. He had his own blog. He had his own way of writing. So when he wrote things, he was basically giving you his thoughts, right? And someone writes, it's their imagination if they're making it up, which he was a very fantasy guy. And you have to understand that someone's brain like this has all of his life to come up with stories. He's a storyteller. And so he's telling stories about fiction and he's mixing some of those fictions. I know one of the books that he wrote was about these two missionaries that was, I think, fictional. I'm almost positive. Again, this is where if I don't know it for a fact, I don't know. But I will say that he wrote these based off of real life fiction books. And with that being said, that means that he had his whole life to make up fiction, mix it with real life. That's his mind. What crosses the threshold of what I keep coming back to this place because it's really interesting to me, is that he was able to bring others into his circle. And he was able to get people to start preying on their own. He was getting people to start doing these, let's call it witchcraft. I think that's what it is, if I'm being 100% honest with you, is he was able to make people start performing witchcraft in their own way, on their own things. And I think another thing that I wanted to say is the people who need, let me just put it this way. I believe in my heart, okay, based off of research and I'm before, I think Chad Daybell is a very scared, very rejected, very unaccomplished, and very narcissistic, psychopathic, sad, angry, and never grew up person that was somehow able to convince others to do heinous things. And I think that he was so good at making people feel special. And if you find a broken person like Lori was, and you start telling a person like that they're special, at a certain point, they would rather have you in their life because that's all they've ever wanted, to tell you how special you are, that they're willing to do the things. Because let's go back to the light and dark, right? His light and dark was very, very conveniently. It was very conveniently not his family, other than his wife, unfortunately. And it was all these other people. And it has this bias to it. And if you can't see that it's biased, if you can't see that it's all the opposite people that you say are dark, then you have to, I don't know, you have to be able to reevaluate. And I always wondered to myself, did Lori ever reevaluate? And I know they stopped talking for a while. That's something that I've heard before. But you have to understand what's interesting is at any point when someone is cult leading, you as the person following have to have some kind of red flag. And this is what we talked about on the last live, is that how did Chad's kids not have the red flags with their dad? And I know you grow up a certain way, and if you're isolated, you don't know really much other than that. But hopefully from that time that they've been able to reevaluate, you would hope. But that's what's so crazy is you have a non-threatening, okay, total prick. He's somehow manipulative. He was able to convince people. He's not charming in the way of any type of definition that we bring charming. I think he was just, when he one-on-one people, he made them feel special somehow. And I think it's because he didn't feel special. So he brainwashed people to feel special about a purpose that he wanted them to do that benefited him. Chad Daybell would throw anybody under the bus to save his own skin, including his kids, including his wife, including his second wife, and including anybody around him. He literally would do anything to save himself. On top of that, manipulation and narcissism, he's also void of really any feeling. I was in the trial. I watched his face myself. I haven't seen the whole rest of the trial, but I watched him. And yes, I know he's scared, but he's also void of all empathy. Void. You hear it in his voice when he's speaking. His kids mimic it. They probably grew up with that. But he is absolutely void of any type of empathy. And that's the only way you get to this level, is you don't have it. It's not that you are putting on anything. The only thing he feels is fear for himself. He felt fear when he was getting arrested. He felt fear when he knew he had to do these things, when he was going to get caught. But he wasn't afraid because he felt bad. Do you think Chad Daybell has lost a night of sleep for killing my family? Not a single one. I don't think he's ever lost sleep over that. The only thing he's lost sleep over is that he got caught. And the only thing that he's lost sleep over is himself, not his kids. He doesn't have that. And you can see it in everything you watch. The way that he maneuvered, and the way he walks, and the way that he conducts himself, you can see a lack of, and I do this because it's like there's just nothing going on there. It's not like you can tap him and it's like, oh, it's in there. It's like there's literally a void of all empathy. And that's why I think that it was the way that they did it, because of the way that they were able to pitch it, and then the actual action of what happened. And it's not to get too deep into this stuff because it's very hard to talk about, but the way that my sister was treated, somebody with absolutely zero humanity inside of them was the one that was doing that to her and to JJ and to Tammy. And yes, we can always go back to Alex. We're not going to try to take Alex out of this, but something was going on where there was a complete disconnect. Somebody who did what happened to my sister specifically was more than brutal. It was more than void of human anything. And I still to this day don't think I've heard of anything worse. So I tell you that because I finally understand it for what it is. And I finally understand that you and I don't understand them. We don't understand people like this because we have feelings. We know that we would have guilt and remorse. And we know that we would never go down that path because we also see the red flags leading down to that. But you have to understand, come from a different perspective, pull all your feelings and empathy out, right? Just strip it out of there and be completely selfish and narcissistic, and then walk down that path. Because now you're only thinking about what you're going to get out of this. You're only thinking about how you're going to benefit. Lori's only thinking about how she's going to benefit. Here's what I think it is. Okay. I'm going to give a comparison I've never done before, and it's both of them. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'll do all three. I'll do Alex, Chad, and Lori, because I've never talked about this before. Lori's so fantasy driven and able to disconnect herself from reality, but still has feelings. Therefore, she lived in fantasy land. That's her thing. And we'll get into that a whole nother time, and I'll make a video for you guys on that. Chad Daybell, I think, was void of all of it. It wasn't something that he learned to turn off. I don't think he had it. I don't think he ever had it. It didn't exist. And then Alex was a hybrid between the two. Alex could shut everything off, but also felt it in his stomach. And I think Alex knew what he did was wrong, and he had some kind of conscience. I genuinely don't know if Chad Daybell had a conscience. I don't think he did, because it was so convenient that it was my family that was bad, and it was the only person else that was in his way was his own wife, so that way he could go have Lori. That is someone who is able to go to a place of, I don't feel anything. You can tell Lori does, because she's so up and down, but she's Delulu by choice because she has to stay away from the pain. Her brain is blocking that. So she made up her story. She pitched it to herself by herself in isolation for years, literally, and then spent the time to tell everybody else that story, write it down, call people on the phone, interview with me, tell other people's in interviews, and then say it in court. She's going to say it in court again. And the fact is, she's not void of the feeling. She's out of her mind because she's literally pitching herself a story. That's what that is. Colby, you're spot on. I've seen Heather Daybell's interview with Lauren and John, and she says it never once asked about her brothers or their jobs or families. They do not exist. Yeah, that's a very clear sign. Let me give you another thing that's big for this is somebody who is able to always talk about themselves nonstop, has no empathy for anybody else. Colby, I just wanted you to know how much your strength has helped me and find my own strength after life became so difficult. I really appreciate you sharing your healing and process. Thank you. I'm glad to share anything I can with you guys. You guys are awesome. I thought so too. I think, man, there's a lot of stuff. I just forgot. We haven't talked about this on the channel. Like, this isn't something that I've really brought up to you guys. And by the way, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have a degree in this. I'm just telling you my opinion, my observations, my research that I've done. This is fully my opinion. I just want that to be clear. So we're not getting in any type of problems like that. All right. Now let me finish real quick, and then I'm going to give you the last piece. I wrote down this, and I think this is really important to tell you guys. We're not talking about this and for any other reason other than that you have to remember, this isn't a story to me. This is my life, and this is also a warning. What we're going to be talking about with these other cases, what we're going to be talking about, because we're going to focus on just as much on the people who were affected afterwards in different cases than we are on the person who caused all of the pain. The reason to give both sides is because, number one, it warning signs you to see different characteristics in different people. And then number two, we talk about the healing, the moving, the growing, that part, because that's just as important as covering what happened to somebody, how it gets put into this place of, a lot of times with media, it gets blown out of proportion and we don't really dive deep. And let's be honest, how many shows and things have been diving deep on this subject for years? People are trying to figure things out. And because we don't understand, we don't get it, we can't wrap our minds around it. It's never going to make sense to us. I'm telling you right now that Lori and Chad could sit there and tell you, well, I did this because A, B, C, and D. And I'll tell you right now, it still will never make sense fully because we can't go to that place. So again, what do I really think about Chad? I told you, I think he's a scared man. I think he's manipulative. I think that he was not charming. I think he was just sadistic. I think that he's a completely lack of all empathy. And I think that he's able to do things to people because he's so non-threatening. And that's what's so scary about that guy, is that he does not present threat. He is a slow killing thing. You walk in and he slowly poisons you over time. It's not instant. It's not something that just happens right off the bat. he pulls you in slowly, and then when he feels safe enough, his jaws snap. And I know for a fact that he must have had serious anger issues because he's insecure. He's completely in fantasy land. He wants to be better than he is. That's the reality. He didn't want to be who he was. He wanted something different. And so he had to make himself feel special. And guess what he did for Lori? And guess what he did for Alex? He made them feel special. He did exactly what he did for himself and then took it to them. And that's how he was able to get, I think, to get more of them all to come to the same page when someone like that is leading the pyramid and says, I just got this from God. I just did this. Once you add in the religious side, that's a whole nother subject, because religion can be very manipulative when you're not spiritually strong for yourself, and you take someone's word for it like that. Army Mom here, Colby, appreciates you and your efforts and continual search for healing for yourself and for us. Keep going, boss. Appreciate you, Monica. Army Mom. There we go. Sorry, I got stuck on here for a second. But I'm going to read some of you guys' chats. That's really what I had to go into this. I just thought it was so interesting. So much made more sense to me. And I just started to read between the lines of who this person really is, rather than just taking the sensationalism of doomsday prophet and this and that. Like, no, how does that happen? How does someone become a doomsday prophet? How do you get a following? Why? Why is this guy able to pull people in? He doesn't have the characteristics. He doesn't have the charm. He doesn't have the money. He doesn't have anything enticing. He's a man in little old Idaho on his little farm, and he's a prick. So how in the hell is he getting all this stuff? I don't understand. People are following him. And so that's what made me ask more and more questions. And then it just all kept going down the rabbit hole to answer those questions for me and then for you guys as well. You may be right, Colby. Maybe he doesn't feel like a man, and Lori paid attention to him and he just lost it. He wasn't used to getting attention. Exactly. That's exactly right. She gave him the attention he wanted. So and again, there you go. There's another good point. I think Amy just said it. He wants money too. Right? So think about that though. Let's go back to that point. You're willing to take life because you want money. Money's more important than human life. That is void of empathy. And we're not talking about just any life. We're talking about children and spouses, the closest people on the planet Earth. And I've always said this, and I know I've probably said it on the channel before. If you are willing to take your own spouse's and children's life, there's no one on the planet Earth who's safe. You have crossed the line. There's nobody safe from you, because you have now went into your own closest people in your entire life and went down that rabbit hole. So that is exactly what it is. Once you cross that, there's no one safe. You are more dangerous than most people when you go to that level. More dangerous than you could ever imagine. That's what makes it so scary. Again, he found 2 people who are susceptible to it. Maybe more. I guess there's more. There's other people who are following it. And what I think is interesting about, and this is one other tangent I'll give to you guys. What I think is interesting about cults, right, is a lot of these religious cults are able to come in and branch off of something familiar. So when they start to give you this new idea, what's so enticing is, hey, that's getting old, right? You're sick of the old religion. Here's the religion, or the basis, or whatever you want to call it, right? Here's the flooring of this religion that you already believe in. I have some new stuff for you. I can tell you some cool stuff that just kind of still dabbles over here, but I'm going to pull you over here and I'm going to tell you all this new stuff. So you entice people, they walk away, they pull away, and you just keep, what's his name? Piper Boy leading out he's the little flute boy. He reminds me of Chad, little flute boy leaving me, taking the mice out of the spot. Frick this. I don't know what it's called. That's what he does. He plays his little flute and he pulls all the crap out of there. Okay. Creepy, odd, sad excuse for a human. PS, go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. We're coming back very good, very strong. Pied Piper. There you go. Thank you for saving me. You guys save my life sometimes on these lives when I forget stuff. He's the Pied Piper, baby. Peter Pied Piper. Try saying that fast. Peter Griffin Pied Piper. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. So, with all that being said, again, I have some deep dive videos. If you guys let me know right now in the chat if you'd like more deep dive videos where it's more like my villains video where I can edit it and make it a little bit more, I guess I like those type of videos because it keeps you engaged with what I'm talking about without me just always explaining it. It's going to give you guys that real seeing it. So if you want to see the deep dives, just you can put deep dive or you can put ones in the chat. I don't care. Just tell me if you want that because I like to be able to make sure you guys are on the same page with me because I've been deep diving and I'm telling you, I'm going down the rabbit holes, but I'm actually figuring stuff out. And it's really interesting because it's helping with my healing and it's helping me realize things about other people. Hit me with the ones. Let's go with ones. If you want to see the deep dives, we're going to do it. Because one thing that I talked about with Kelsey that I haven't mentioned with you guys is I think I was in too much pain to talk about any of this. This was way too painful. It was too personal. And now I'm thinking to myself, I've healed so much and all I want is to help other people. And if we talk about this stuff and the things that I'm seeing and the behaviors of these people, you never know who's listening, who can actually be able to heal, to learn something, to look for red flags, all of that stuff. And it's just, I can't get off my mind. So the more that I learn, the more that I want to share with you. Let's go, deep divers. I love it. Let's deep dive on this. I'm going to also talk about Alex. I've never talked about him. We'll talk about that soon. I was so angry at him for so many different reasons. I couldn't even comprehend his part, but I knew he did it. And we're going to talk about him. And then we'll also get into, I think, a little bit of my opinion on, again, with Lori, what I think her whole deal was. And those are the deep dives that we can do. But it's just hard, I think, sometimes to do them all live, just because I don't know if you guys like to talk and interact more, if you'd like a video. So you can let me know. If you guys like the lives like that, let's do it. If not, I'll edit videos for you guys. Oh, we got the NFL fighters in here, huh? We're going to start a whole thing in here. I got people telling me, I got Ray over here saying, go Raiders. He made me say it. He said he can't with the Chiefs hat, and frick this, That's the arrows, baby. It's the Chiefs for you. We'll come back very good, very strong. Yeah, you guys want the lives? You like both? Maybe we'll do both. Maybe we'll do a little bit of breakdown on live. We'll go for it. Haters gonna hate. I love it. You guys like the lives. I love doing lives with you. That is an honest thing. Like, I love doing lives with you, to interact with you, talk to you, get your opinion on this stuff. This is not just my opinion. I like to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Hey, Colby, thanks for the healing out loud. It helps you and so many others with our healing journeys. And also thank you for calling Chad a break. Just slips out sometimes. Appreciate you. Is that an aquarium? Just kidding. Keep pressing on, Colby. You have so much more support than you know. I love that you guys have said that, because it does. I didn't even think about it from your perspective, because I know it's my PC, but I never thought about, like, what the heck is this? This guy's going away. This is also a prick, and he needs to go because he doesn't know how to handle our streams. So we're gonna get on with that. But last piece of good news while we deep dive, we'll be in the new studio in very soon. You guys are gonna see the background change. So we're gonna say goodbye to the studio. It's been a good gal for us, she's been good to us. We put up different shelves, we changed all the stuff around. It's gonna be cool. But I'm really excited about the new studio is gonna look really good, very good, very strong. Okay. I say that to Kelsey all the time and she doesn't like it. And I also sing the Rock song. What's that song, Kelsey, that you hate it? What's the one that the Rock did his rap song and she hates when I do that? Now I can't even remember it, and I'm the one that always brings it up. Oh, hold on. Kelsey said, LOL, Ray. Hold on. You son of a frick. You're going to come on here after I said go Raiders for you. I can't believe it. I said it for you. You son of a gun. I can't believe this. The betrayal. This is ridiculous. You know, and I picked my own team. I like the Chiefs when I moved to Kansas back when I was 21 years old because I lived there in Kansas, and I liked the team before they were just dominant. Come on. I'm not even a bandwagon. Frick this. Oh, it's so funny, bro. You guys are crazy out here with these. Oh my gosh. It's about pride. It's about power. That's it. I say that to her all the time. She hates it. She freaking hates that. All right, real quick, before we go, I do want to get your guys' opinion on this. This is our next video. I told you guys what it is. And I'm going to show you the deep dive. From what you guys have seen, heard, read, anything of that nature, do you think that Chad Daybell is actually a psychopath? And we're going to get into it. That's going to be the next video. So let me know what you think. You can say yes, whatever you want. But that's what is really interesting, because I looked into what is a psychopath. I didn't just say that. I really, really researched. And it is scary, to say the least. It's scary. We got a lot of yeses in the chat. Lot of yeses. It's just raining. And I'm talking about, again, not a doctor, not a psychiatrist, don't have my master's. I'm just doing my own research here. But the more research I do, the more my eyes get wide open. We're going to get into it. If you guys are interested in that, we'll talk more about it. We got yeses everywhere. He's tired of me saying deep dive. We have an amazing community. You're absolutely right. We hang out. We have fun. We laugh. We cry. It's just life. We live life on the lives. Isn't that fun? Yes. We're going to get into it. So, with all that being said, I want to say thank you guys for being here tonight. You know I love you. I appreciate you. Freaking, you had to freaking shoot from half court on that one, right as we're leaving the live and never dying. Come on, man. But you know, I appreciate you guys. Love you. Again, community tab is where I'm going to keep you up to date. I've been trying to post on other social and just keep you guys. I try to give you as much time as possible, because I know I've been really bad at sometimes. I just like post 20 minutes before the live, and that's what it is. So, but appreciate you. Love you. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you very soon. And we have a lot of things that we're going to be talking about. So love you. Have a good night.